Here is some flour on a weighing scale. How many grams of flour are on the scale? Well, we can see that we have our scale in kilograms, and to get from 0 to 1, we have 10 lines. So each of these lines is 1/10 of a kilogram, and it's pointing to the fourth line, so that's 4/10 of a kilogram, or 0.4 kilograms. But we're asked how many grams of flour are on the scale. 0.4 kilograms is 400 grams. That's because to change from kilograms to grams, we multiply by 1,000. So either we can multiply by 1,000 by copying down the decimal point, moving the digits 3 squares to the left, and then writing zeros in empty squares. So now that we have the decimal point at the end, we can see that we have 400. Or the quicker way to do this is to write out the decimal number of kilograms so that it has 3 digits after the decimal point, 3 decimal places. Then all we need to do is take out the decimal point and we have our weight in grams. So remember, we can always write zeros on the end of decimal numbers without changing the number. Now, how much more flour must be added to the scale to make 1.6 kilograms? So we have 0.4 kilograms and it asks how much more. So we need to find the difference, and we do that by subtracting. 1.6 minus 0.4 is 1.2, so 1.2 kilograms of flour must be added. 40 children each chose their favourite flavour of yoghurt. This chart shows the results. How many children chose lemon yoghurt? So to understand what each of these little lines on our chart represents, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines to get from 0 to 10, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. So with each line we have an increase of 2. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And we can see that the bar for lemon starts between 12 and 14. So that must be 13. The bar for lemon finishes on 20. So to know how many children chose lemon, we can work out 20 minus 13, and that's 7. So 7 children chose lemon. Now, how many more children chose raspberry than plain yoghurt? We can see that raspberry starts on 20 and it must finish on 36, because remember, with each line we're counting in twos and we have 30, 32, 34, 36. So because the bar starts on 20 and finishes on 36, we can work out 36 minus 20, and that tells us that 16 children chose raspberry. Now, the number of children who chose plain, we can work out by working out 40 minus 36, because the bar for plain starts on 36 and finishes on 40. So that's 4 children choosing plain. Now we want to know how many more chose raspberry than plain. So we need to find the difference between these numbers, which means we need to subtract, and 16 minus 4 is 12. So 12 more children chose raspberry than chose plain yoghurt. Fill in the gaps in the sentences below. The shape has how many right angles? So remember, a right angle is like the corner of a piece of paper or the corner of this screen. And in this shape, every shape is a right angle. So the shape has 4 right angles. It has 4 straight sides. Now it has how many pairs of parallel lines? So parallel lines are like train tracks. If we extended them, they would go on forever without ever crossing. And we count parallel lines in pairs. So this line here is parallel to this line here, so that's 1 pair, And this line here is parallel to this line here, so that's another pair. So that means the shape has two pairs of parallel lines. Now, how many sides are the same length? Well, every side is the same length, and we can see that because we go 3 squares down, 3 across, 3 across, 3 up, 3 up, 3 across, 3 across, 3 down. So 4 sides are the same length, and this shape here is of course a square, because if sides are the same length and angles are the same size, and it's a 4-sided shape or quadrilateral, then we have a square. Here is a pentagon drawn on a coordinate grid. The pentagon is symmetrical. What are the coordinates of point C? So a pentagon is a 5-sided shape, and if a shape is symmetrical, that means that we have the same reflected on both sides. So point A will be the same distance from the line of symmetry as point C, because that way the same is reflected on both sides. So when we're doing coordinates, we find the x-coordinate first. We don't know what the x-coordinate will be for C, but we can work it out, because we're told that the x-coordinate of A is 4. We also know that the x-coordinate of B is 7, so that's a difference of 3. 7 is 3 more than 4. And because the distance from the line of symmetry will be the same on both sides, we know that for point C, we'll have 3 more than 7, because for point A, we had 3 less than 7. So 7 plus 3 is 10, which means that point C has an x-coordinate of 10. So now let's look at the y-coordinate. We can see that point C is inline or horizontal to point A, and that has a y-coordinate of 9. So the y-coordinate for point C will be 9 as well. So point C has the coordinates 10, 9. Here is part of a number line. Write in the 2 missing numbers. So we have 2 and 2 1/4 labelled on our number line, which means that with each line we have a difference of 1/4. So the next line will be 2 2/4, and then here we will have 2 3/4. But now we need to find this point here. That's 2/4 less than 2. So we can work out 2 minus 2/4. That gives us 1 2/4. Because if we imagine 2 whole bars, split one of them into quarters and take 2 of the quarters away, that leaves us with 1 whole and 2/4 of another bar. So our answer is 1 2/4, which we could simplify to 1 1/2. 102 people came to a car boot sale and paid 15 pence each to go in. How much money was collected? So we need to work out 102 times 15 pence. Now we could use column multiplication for that, but 102 is close to 100. So if we work out 100 times 15 pence, and then work out 2 times 15 pence, we can add up our totals to get our answer for how much money was collected. So 100 times 15 is 1,500, and 1,500 pence is the same as 15 pounds. 2 times 15 pence is 30 pence, which means putting those together, £15.30 was collected. Now, each car had to pay £7 to be at the sale. The school collected £399 from the cars. How many cars were there? Well, here we need to divide 399 by 7. We can use short division, and that gives us 57. So there were 57 cars, because what we've shown with the division is 57 times £7 is £399. Dev has a bag of 50p coins and Holly has a bag of 20p coins. Both bags have the same amount of money in. There are 30 50p coins in Dev's bag. How many 20p coins are there in Holly's bag? Well, first let's work out how much money is in Dev's bag, because we know that Holly's bag will have the same amount of money in. So Dev has 50p's. If we have two 50p coins, we have £1, but we know that Dev has 30 50p coins. Now 2 times 15 is 30, because 30 divided by 2 is 15, and £1 times 15 is of course £15. So we know that both the bags contain £15. Now Holly has 20p coins in her bag, and if we have 5 20p coins, that's £1, because 5 times 20 is 100, and 100p is £1. But we know that she has the same amount of money as Dev, so she has £15. 1 times 15 is 15, but now we need to work out 5 times 15 to work out how many 20p coins Holly has in her bag. So we can use column multiplication and we get 75. So there are 75 20p coins in Holly's bag. Write the correct number shown by the arrow. So on this number line we have 730 and 810 labelled. So if we subtract 730 from 810, that will give us the difference. So that's a difference of 80. And to get from 730 to 810, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these little lines. So we can divide 80 by 8 because we need to make 8 jumps to get from the numbers that have a difference of 80, and that tells us that each jump is an increase of 10. So we have 730, 740, 750, 760, and then we can write the remaining numbers on our number line as well. So now we can see that the arrow is pointing right in the middle of 770 and 780. So that means we have 775. A box of crisps contains 3 different flavours: prawn cocktail, cheese and onion, and salt and vinegar. A quarter of the packets are prawn cocktail flavour. 30% are cheese and onion flavour. What percentage are salt and vinegar flavour? So we need our answer as a percentage, but here we're given a fraction for the packets that are prawn cocktail. So we can change this fraction, 1/4, to a percentage, because we know that a percentage is just a fraction which has a denominator of 100. 4 times 25 is 100, 1 times 25 is 25, so 1/4 is 25%. So we know that 25% are prawn cocktail and 30% are cheese and onion. So if we add 30 plus 25, that tells us that 55% of the packets are either cheese and onion or prawn cocktail. Now if we want a percentage of a total, that has to add up to 100%. So what we can do is subtract the percentage that we have from 100, and that means that 45% of the packets must be salt and vinegar. So our answer is 45%. Here is a centimetre square grid. On the grid, draw a rectangle which has a perimeter of 10 square centimetres. So we need to remember that the perimeter is the distance around the outside of the shape. So there are two possible rectangles that we could draw. This rectangle has a perimeter of 10 square centimetres because we have 4 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1, and that makes 10 centimetres. Or we could have this rectangle here with a width of 2 and a length of 3. Because if we have two lengths of 3, that's 6, and if we have two widths of 2, that's 4, and 6 plus 4 is 10 as well.